Well, good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. I'm just out here with my little mate Neil on our daily walk, and I know I say it every day, but what a beautiful and stunning day that we have here in the Macedon Ranges here in Victoria. Yes, I know it's not tropical and like that like in Queensland, where there's it beautiful one day, perfect the next, or something like that. But down here it mightn't be as warm, but I'm telling you, the view is absolutely amazing. But enough of the wonderful place that I live, on to the boxing. And it's interesting that still all the news seems to be centered around our mate Turki Alalsheik. All the news sites, just what I do when I get up in the morning, and sometimes even the night before, I'll just have a bit of a scour of the news sites and see what's sort of going on. So, because there's no real script that I go to by every day, I just sort of pick a few things, and hence the name Walking Boxing, just sort of talk shit for 15 minutes as I'm walking Neil. But it's amazing that he's still dominating all the news cycles, and with his new BFF, Oscar De La Hoya, of course. He's doing the rounds, and you know, there's a lot of debate going on at the moment, even to the point this morning I saw on one of the sites, I can't remember which one it was, an article by a reporter on there that was specifically talking about whether Turki Alalsheik is, this supposed maybe dictatorship that might be happening. I don't know. There's a lot of doomsdayers out there, but is he good for boxing? And I just thought it was interesting that it came up, because we've talked about it at length last night on Talking Boxing. So it's interesting that he's still in the news cycle and the views that people have. Now, I suppose if you're looking at both sides, and I'll be the devil's advocate in the middle, I suppose. The good, of course, is, well, he's done some fantastic things for boxing in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, hasn't he? Started with the heavyweights in Saudi Arabia. I was one of the ones at the time that went, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's good. Saudi Arabia? Are you kidding me? Putting fights on in Saudi Arabia? But to his credit, he had a vision, and he went for it and hooked up with Eddie Hearn and has put on some great shows since then. Yes, I know they've had some teething problems with the amount of fights on the cards, and the gaps in between, and the entertainment and all the other stuff that maybe boxing fans don't really sort of care for too much. But overall, put that aside, I mean, the fact that the events are on are fantastic. It's a little bit hard for us here in Australia too, of course, because we're getting started at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and going till about lunchtime, so it's a big day. But overall, look, you've got to give him full credit for that. But then you look at probably the bad side. It's not really bad. It's probably, let's just call it the flip side of that. And for every good thing, there's always probably someone else that has something that don't look at it the same way. Then you've got the people, and I've been a little bit like that myself a couple of times, saying, well, what happens if he does get control of, or full control of the sport? And what I mean by that is, now you've sort of seen him. He's partnered up with Eddie. Now he's partnered up with Oscar. He's talked about buying all the promotional firms out. Now I don't know whether that raises alarm, because it probably obviously signals his intentions that he wants full control of the sport. Now, I don't think it was ever going to happen that the top ranks and Golden Boys and Matchrooms were actually going to sell out to him. But what he's now done, he's probably pretty smart. He's now decided not to buy them out, and now he is simply just taking them over by stealth and working with them. And I know it's sort of, they're working together, as Oscar has sort of said, but I think it's pretty obvious that Oscar is working for Turki Alalsheik. I'm still getting my head around the fact that, that Oscar, he puffed the chest out initially, and social media, no one comes into my turf and I'm going to do this and do that. And the first chance he got, he just bent over for Turki Alalsheik. So, but I suppose what is probably for me, probably just been the little thing that's concerned me the most, is that it's the demeanour of Turki Alalsheik since he's gotten more power, he's gotten more control. and he has, as I said, like when he first started, he was quiet, humble, didn't really talk a lot. Sorry, I've just got to kneel up there. Didn't really talk a lot, and now he's become a lot more visible. He's at the fights. He's getting interviewed at ringside. He's having a lot more to say about things, and also when I talk about his demeanour, he has been very vocal at those who don't necessarily want to work with him, a la Canelo Alvarez. So they're probably the, if you want to call them red flags or whatever it might be, but that's probably the main thing that sort of concerns me. As I said, that he's gone from that guy who was just happy to put the shows on and not say much, just be at ringside, be happy to do what he's doing for the sport, to the point where now he's almost insisting that he's being interviewed. Didn't have the gear on the weekend. That's probably a natural thing. I don't know whether he just has it on for his events or whatever, but he was dressed in normal street gear on the weekend. Read into that what you will, I don't know, but it just sort of poses the question of, if he does get full control, what happens? If he's got the keys to the Ferrari, as they say. Do we go down the UFC model where it's good, where you're getting the best fight and the best no matter what? He does set it up a little bit now like a UFC event where he'll get into the ring after an event and announce what's happening on the next event, which I think is good. You have the best fighter and the best fighters all the time getting, well, hopefully paid what they should be getting paid. Us fans are winning, but I just look at history in anything, whether it be sport or politics or whatever it might be, and people that get full control and power, it just doesn't end well most of the time. We've seen it as littered in history of people, as I said, sport, mainly politics across the world, that they get that power, and it does go to the head. And I see it in my business as well. I see good retail attendants, if that's what you want to call them, salespeople, whatever they are, really good, hard-working guys and girls, put them in a managerial position and the whole attitude changes. They get on this little power trip, they puff the chest down a little bit, they get lazy, and that's on a very, very small scale with my businesses, so let alone what it's like at the top of something like boxing. But also, I mean, this is the guy I remember who's used to probably ruling with an iron fist in his own country, and he's obviously he's going to bring that over to the boxing world. So I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad. I'm probably just sort of spitballing at the moment about the pros and cons of the whole thing. For now, it's good. For now, it's good. But I know I've said it a few times, I just don't like the way he reacted to Canelo Alvarez, where everyone was his friend when they were all with him and dealing with him, and he was happy with that. The minute the first fighter, as in Canelo, said no, not interested, his attitude and his response really sort of took me back a little bit, and Tim Tszyu to some extent as well. Same thing. I know Tim Tszyu's not at the same level and extent of Canelo Alvarez yet, but the way he reacted to Canelo really was concerning for me. And if that's going to be the way, does he block fighters? Does he block promoters? That's not really what I would want to see from Turki Alalsheik. I would probably more like it along the lines of, well, it's your loss. You don't want to work with me, it's your loss. You go and do what you want. Maybe I'll be here when you're ready, and maybe I won't. That's probably the attitude I would expect from Turki Alalsheik, but that's not the attitude that we've got so far. The way he reacted pretty spitefully towards Canelo just again makes me just a little cautious. Sorry, I'll just close my gate here. A little bit late doing this today, by the way. I was doing some other stuff, had a couple of phone calls and doing this last. So that's my concern with that at the moment. Again, maybe I'm just jumping at shadows. Maybe there's nothing to be worried about, and who knows, he might get full control of things and and we're having sort of 6 big shows a year with the best fighters in the world fighting each other, getting massive paydays, getting 30, 40,000 to events, and everyone's happy. Don't know. He's working with all the promoters, and the ones that he doesn't work with, well, there's no spite. They just get sort of forgotten about. But I've just got the feeling that at the moment, the way, or just a gut feeling is that if the promoters don't want to work with him, well, he'll do everything he can to block them out. If the fighters don't want to work with him, he'll do everything to block them out, and that's really not what we want to see. But just my opinion. On to a couple other bits of news, and it is a little bit warm today too, I've got to say. A little bit sweating a little bit in this jacket. I did say that Terence Crawford has given up his WBO welterweight belt, his 147 belt, so I think that's it, except for the WBA super belt. But is it super, regular, whatever? He's the champion, so it doesn't look like he's champion anymore. He's 154, or officially a 154 pound fighter now. So he wants to go up and obviously unify the belts. Let's hope that it all falls the way we hope it does, and there's unification fights. And let's hope, even though the Tim Tszyu comments were concerning, let's hope that Tim gets back and he's in the good graces of all concerned. Again, I don't think it really matters if he's in with the likes of Turki Alalsheik. Just in my opinion, I just think he has got the management behind him that they'll work something out. They're in with PBC as well at the moment. Tim, well, they've worked with PBC, so I've got a feeling that, again, I said this last night on the show, that I've got a feeling that Tim and his team aren't too stressed about working with Turki Alalsheik, because they have a good relationship with PBC. They've got their own things going, and yes, it'd be all good for them all to work together. But I think at some stage, especially in the 154 pound division where there's so many great fights to be made, I would think that Tim would probably side with the PBC at the moment, and then once he gets the IBF belt, then maybe they can work towards unifying, because you've got to remember, Terence Crawford wants the 154 pound belts, all of them, and it doesn't matter who's aligned with who. I would think that Turki Alalsheik would say, all right, well, if you want the undisputed and Tim has the IBF belt, then we will work something out with Tim and No Limit and PBC, whoever it might be. So I'm sure it'll all work out in the end. If he's serious about making the best fights available, then he'll work with everyone. Just a couple other things before we finish up. I did see that also Emmanuel Navarette, Oscar Valdez, is now official for December 7th in Arizona. Got to say, I'm not overly stressed about the fight, if I'm being honest. They have fought before, of course. Navarette won a clear decision. I think both guys are probably on the wrong side of their career, or the downside of their careers now, so I'm not quite sure it really means a lot. But again, I suppose they are the best 130 pound fighters out there at the moment, so so may as well get one last payday against each other and see who's the top dog. Who knows, maybe Valdez wins, we might get not a unification fight, a third fight, a trilogy. So we'll see. The other thing I did see too, and I'm glad it's not happening, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez and Anita Donaire, there was talk they might be maybe fighting. Doesn't look like it's going to happen now. I think Gonzalez has come out and said, no, not interested in fighting Nonito. 10 years ago, maybe it would have been a fantastic fight, but not so much now. So hopefully Nonito especially can retire and go off into the sunset. I'm sure Chocolatito might have a fight or two left, but either way, he's had an awesome career. So guys, that is about it. Not a hell of a lot going on today. I'm sure things will spark up as the week goes on. We have got the PBS on this Saturday night, which will be awesome, so I'll be watching that. Make sure you check that out. 7 Mate, Ace Boxing, doing great things. So guys, have a ripper day, and we'll catch you tomorrow.